welcome to C3Arts Radio. This is your loyal host, Philip Harvey, coming live and direct to you from City College, New York. Of course, the college on the hill. And we are the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts. And I have my right-hand man here next to me, Mr. Winston Brewington. How you doing today, Winston?
I'm doing wonderful, getting ready for the snow.
Yeah, hey, tell me about it. Tell me about it. More snow, more snow. We got a lot going on for you today. Today is, we're going to do what we like to do, something that we renamed. We've really had a lot of fun with it since we renamed it. And it is a big part of what we do here at C3Arts Radio, which is making sure that you have information that you can need, that you need to be a well-rounded patron of the arts. That's what we're about here, C3Arts Radio, arts advocacy. And we know the most important thing that you need to be a great arts advocate is information about the arts. So along with bringing you many of the great personalities in the arts world, both locally, nationally, internationally, we also make sure that we give you the information about what's happening, about what's going on, right? So we're going to get into that today. This great project that we call Sliced Fruit. And, of course, it's named after the great Brooks Stevenson, the great writer and music and arts event producer, everything. Brooks Stevenson. Still thinking about your brother. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. But as the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts, it is our duty to make sure that you are in the know about what's happening right here on the campus of City College. Of course, we're talking about Aaron Davis Hall, the biggest cultural facility, performing arts facility north of Lincoln Center here in New York City, of course, right here in Harlem. And, of course, we come here every Tuesday to you from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on WHCR FM. 90.3 on your dial. And, of course, this is the voice of Harlem, all right? Yeah. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about what's happening right here at City College Center for the Arts, right here on the stages of Aaron Davis Hall and the galleries of Aaron Davis Hall. First of all, not this coming Friday, but the next Friday, okay? A week from this Friday, we have a very special program. It's coming along in our series that we are currently conducting with the Manhattan School of Music. It's called Manhattan School of Music Comes to Harlem series. The Manhattan School of Music Comes to Harlem series. And this particular program is called Clifford Brown with Strings. It's the music of the Max Roach and Clifford Brown Quintet. Now, this is very, very important. One of the things that I'm quite happy about is the amount of attention that I've been seeing recently being paid to the great Clifford Brown. Now, for those who maybe need a kind of brief reintroduction to Clifford Brown was one of the great jazz trumpet players. He kind of broke onto the scene with his own sound, and this was very important during this time period. Of course, we're talking about the 1950s. He broke on the scene with his own sound, and even beyond the music that he played, there was a kind of idea going around in the jazz world at that time that you needed to kind of know what it's like to be on a heroin high, that you needed to find ideas and inspiration from your lifestyle. And often that lifestyle involved heavy drugs. Of course, this was the idea set by Charlie Parker, and many musicians and jazz musicians followed in his wake. Not that Charlie Parker was the first one, but because a lot of people tend to attribute his way out playing style to this. I say all this to say is that Clifford Brown was one of the artists who came along who defied this conception. And when he died at the age of 26 in a car accident, a random car accident, it's tremors through the jazz world because he was, for many people, a person who helped them see different ways that you could still be a tremendous artist without kind of going down that road, right? The whole jazz world mourned when Clifford Brown died. His career was so short because of this that often he's overlooked when we talk about the great jazz musicians in history. And it's good to see Clifford Brown starting to get that recognition. Of course, his work with Max Roach, their quintet, was one of the most esteemed jazz ensembles ever to perform and to record. So this brings us back to a week from this Friday. We will have Clifford Brown with strings, music of the Max Roach and Clifford Brown Quintet, as translated by the Manhattan School of Music Jazz Philharmonic Orchestra. Now, it gets even better than this, ladies and gentlemen, because the great Jon Faddis will be guest starring on trumpet. Of course, Jon Faddis has had a fantastic career. You know, he was the jazz conductor at Carnegie Hall for quite a bit of time. He has been Grammy nominated. He is a fantastic musician. So this is a fantastic event, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, once again, it is Clifford Brown with strings, music of the Max Roach and Clifford Brown Quintet. The guest conductor will be Scott Arcangel, and it will feature Jon Faddis on trumpet. That is Friday, January 26th. 7:30 p.m. at Aaron Davis Hall. Okay, once again, Friday, January 26th, 7:30 p.m. at Aaron Davis Hall. Now, after that, ladies and gentlemen, on February 8th, fantastic New York-based dance troupe called More Dance is going to present a program called Fat Waller's Rhythm at Aaron Davis Hall, February 8th at 7 p.m. Now, Morgan McEwen is the choreographer for More Dance, which has really been turning heads lately with their performances. And a lot of it is tied to great musical conductors. In this case, Fats Waller, the great jazz pianist and blues pianist, if you really want to know. Joined by acclaimed bassist and composer Benjamin Galena, Morgan McEwen crafts this ode to Fats Waller. A physical ode to Fats Waller. It's going to be a fantastic program. It's going to be February 8th, 7 p.m. here at Aaron Davis Hall. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's got so much going on. Fantastic programming by City College Center for the Arts, if I do say so myself. Is that okay? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Only the best of the best.
Only the best of the best. That's right. And of course, our ongoing installation, Void of Death. It is the solo exhibition of paintings by Atlanta-based artist Julio Mejia, as curated by Susan Luss. And Susan, if you're listening out there, thank you so much. I got your card. I'll have to respond. I got it so late, but thank you very much. And, of course, the show has been extended to February 26th. So you still have some time to go see it. Please don't let it sleep away. Okay, we had to extend it so everyone could get in and see this fantastic exhibition by Julio Mejia. And please remember that the gallery is open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you have plenty of time to go check it, kind of, really go through it, right? Think about what you're looking at, because there's a lot being said there. Julio Mejia is a very deep thinking, creative artist, and is reflected in his work. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happened at City College Center for the Arts. You know, you can always go to citycollegecenterforthearts.org for all the information and how to get tickets. You can also check us out. You know, we'll be giving the information out as well at C3Arts Radio. That's on Instagram and Twitter, C3Arts Radio, Facebook, and C3ArtsRadio.com, the most beautiful website in the world, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with a little sliced fruit.
I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments, and I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go, and that we are involved in a war on Asian soil, which, if not checked and stopped, can poison the very soul of our nation. I'm not going to say that all of our problems will be solved if the war in Vietnam is ended, but I do say that the war makes it infinitely more difficult to deal with these problems. When a nation becomes obsessed with the guns of war, it loses its social perspective, and programs of social uplift suffer. This is just a fact of history, so that we do face many more difficulties as a result of the war. It's much more difficult to really arouse a conscience during a time of war. There is something about a war like this that makes people insensitive. It dulls the conscience. It strengthens the forces of reaction. and it brings into being bitterness and hatred and violence. I think the biggest problem now is that we got our gains over the last 12 years at bargain rate, so to speak. It didn't cost the nation anything. In fact, it helped the economic side of the nation to integrate lunch counters and public accommodations. It didn't cost the nation anything to get the right to vote established. And now we are confronting issues that cannot be solved without costing the nation billions of dollars. Now, I think this is where we're getting our greatest resistance. They may put it on many other things, but we can't get rid of slums and poverty without it costing the nation something. I feel that nonviolence is really the only way that we can follow, because violence is just so self-defeating. A riot ends up creating many more problems for the Negro community than it solves. You can, through violence, burn down a building, but you can't establish justice. You can murder a murderer, but you can't murder through violence. You can murder a hater, but you can't murder hate. And what we are trying to get rid of is hate and injustice and all of these other things that continue the long night of man's inhumanity to man.
When we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, C3Arts Radio. Now, you were listening to the voice of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, as is becoming a tradition here, C3Arts Radio, of course, after Martin Luther King's birthday, we keep the party rolling, right? Because there is literally no person more important from the 20th century. And even though we fought hard, I remember how people fought for Dr. King to have his own day. It's going to take a lot more days, really, because we're talking about one of the primary voices, not only of the 20th century, but all of history, and the one in which United States, in its true guise that he wants to call itself, uses as its moral fabric. Of course, please don't get me confused. I said it's using it as its kind of barometer, right? Not that it has any way actually follow these kind of guidelines. You understand what I'm saying, Winston?
I totally understand what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? You know, this was something I was thinking about quite a bit. Of course, one of the great things about Dr. King that we see starting to settle in with his birthday is it does give people who are more thoughtful the opportunity to really reflect on what he was saying. This particular clip, of course, that we were just playing was from the latter stages of Dr. King's life. The one that most people agree was the most dangerous, in a sense, to the American government. Even he himself is talking about the cost to what he was trying to accomplish towards the end of his life. So if one way I was thinking, and this is something I was thinking about, Winston, so that if we have two major things of the 20th century, correct, at least in the United States history, of course, please don't get me wrong. So you have the Deal by Roosevelt, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have The War on Poverty by Lyndon Johnson. Mm-hmm. Now, one voice, of course, undercuts all of this. So, of course, across the expanse of what we ideally wanted to see ourselves as over the course of the 20th century, of course, was the morality and the ideas of Dr. Martin Luther King. So, having said that, it takes way more than one day to celebrate his idea. It should be something which continues to undergird our philosophy and approach here that we have. Yeah. What's your thought here, Winston, before we get into our sliced fruits here? What's your thoughts on Dr. King?
Well, my thoughts on, Dr. Martin Luther King are, the thoughts that, when I, woke up yesterday and I went to work and, you see the the outpouring, the positive outpouring, mainly through social media, because that's the way that at least a lot of the people, a lot of the friends that I have, it's the way that we communicate. And it's one of the few days where I see people, kind of open to putting up things and posts where they talk about Dr. King. And there are a few that really struck me because a lot of them actually were focusing on that last speech that he gave that really might have been the end of his life, really. Like
well,
he knew.
It literally was. Right?
Yeah, literally, yeah.
And I tell you a little story about that. So I remember, and maybe our audience, if they recall, last year when we had our discussion of Dr. King, when we were going through the story in my high school class, my high school teacher began crying. Older man, we thought he was, to my adolescent mind, used to make fun of him. He kind of looked like, I don't know, not a bald Mr. Rogers, an older bald Mr. Rogers. And then he talked like that, but he was somewhat much more energetic and such. So we laughed at him, and we thought it was a joke. And he totally took me by surprise when he was talking about Dr. King, and he just started crying. And so I remember thinking at first, like, why is this guy crying and stuff, But it always stuck in my mind. So when, fast forward years and years later, I began incorporating that speech into the classes I teach, the college courses I was teaching. And every time I did it, I would start to cry. And I remember what this high school teacher said. He said that I just can't help it. The man gave his life. And every time I see that speech, every time I listen to that speech, where at the end of his life, he knows that it is over for him. And he is still speaking. He still showed up on that rainy night in Memphis where he wasn't going to come. He came anyway, and it was thunderstorming and everything else. He came in, and he gives this speech. It is just absolutely incredible.
I mean, it really makes you think, like, no matter, like, how religious you are or anything like that, it really does make you think about, why we're put on this earth. I mean, that guy was clearly put on this earth for a reason, and he knew it, and he knew that he gave all that he could give. And the ripple effects, we still see them today. And even though things are hard, and they can get hard, and they will get harder, things are better than they were, but we got to remember to keep our heads on straight, stay focused, and to keep pushing for positive change, and I think that's really important.
He was preach, brother, preach. So, but this is a perfect segue into Slice Fruit, okay? Where we give you our choices. Winston and I give you our choices for things that you need to know and be aware of so that you can go and attend and you can support, because this is about arts advocacy. So anyway, perfect segue. African American Museum. The Smithsonian African American Museum in Washington, D.C. is, of course, taking advantage of this time of year and trying to solidify the concepts and ideas of Dr. Martin Luther King in much the same way that we're trying to do. And it's very pinpointed where they're doing it. They have a special exhibition that is called City of Hope, Resurrection City and the 1968 Poor People's Campaign. Right? And this is at the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And it just recently opened. It just opened. It's brand new. It opened on January 9th, right? It's about a week ago. And it is a tribute. It coincides with the 50th anniversary of Dr. King's campaign for the impoverished, people who didn't have. Now, it's absolutely amazing. One of the things that you get from this exhibition is that being that it's 50th year anniversary, it makes you look at the numbers. What Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had set out to do at this point in time was basically dual-edged, right? First there was the fight against the Vietnam War, and then there was attacking the economic injustice in the United States. Right? He had worked on the legislation in terms of helping bring forth the second period in American history where they tried to level the field to some degree. And he wasn't just thinking about it in an aspect of majority-minority rights. He was also looking at it in social injustice in the economic system, and of course through war, unjust wars. So the Poor People's Campaign, 50 years ago, 1968, in the midst of which Martin Luther King is assassinated. The problem is that 50 years later, we've gone backwards. Let's take a look at this. A couple of stats here. We're going to compare 1968, the year Martin Luther King is assassinated, to 2016. He's assassinated in the midst of the I'm the Man campaign, which was kind of seen as being a portion somewhat under the umbrella of the Poor People's Campaign. This is the way at least we look at it from a historical perspective and viewpoint. So now, 1968, population of the United States, 201 million people. 2016, 323 million people, right? People are living in poverty. 1968, 35 million. 2016, 40.6 million, right? Okay, not that much. You know, we have 120 some odd million more people, and we only have a slight number of more people living in poverty. But here's where we kind of break this down. In 1968, 15.6% of children were living in poverty. In 2016, that has risen to 18%. In 1968, 33.5% of people of color were living in poverty. In 2016, 51.5%. 18% rise in the number of people who are living in poverty against the population, right? White people, 10% of white people were living in poverty in 1968. In 2016, 8.8%. Elderly people is the only place where it has gone down significantly. But even that, ladies and gentlemen, as we look at the attack on the social welfare, social safety net, I should say, that number could go south as well. So here we are 50 years later, not much of a dent in the campaign that Dr. Martin Luther King eventually lost his life pursuing. We need to understand this. This makes this exhibition so very important. Again, it's called City of Hope, Resurrection City, and the 1968 Poor People's Campaign. It has just opened just a week ago, ladies and gentlemen, at the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Right? Please go to the National Museum of African American History website. More information. So we're off with sliced fruit. That was my first point here, Winston. What you got? What you thinking about?
Man, I don't know if I can compare it to that. That was pretty deep. That's a museum I've been really trying to go to for a long time, and tickets can be a little hard to get from what I've heard, but one day I'm gonna get there. I'm hoping by this summer I could get my tickets early and go. So
absolutely, that
sounds amazing. Got to check that out. Another interesting exhibit, something a little bit different. There's an artist named Judy Chicago.
Judy Chicago, yes.
Yeah. So Judy Chicago, she's been around for a while.
Yeah.
She is an artist, an American feminist artist, an educator.
Absolutely.
And she's had work at the Brooklyn Museum and a lot of other places.
She's also part of the permanent installation at the Brooklyn Museum. Good driver of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I was looking up information on her, and I saw that she has this new exhibit happening at Salon 94 Bowery. Downtown, and it's called Power Play, a prediction, and it looked really, really interesting, and it's something I really wanted to check out, and I believe it is opening this week, if I'm not mistaken. I heard it's one of the best art events happening right now in the city, and it follows her on her iconic installation, The Dinner Party. Chicago spent much of the 1980s painting male nudes whose aggressive postures and palette suggest a prescient meditation on the toxic masculinity. So it seems like she's really honing in on things that could be happening in the culture currently. There's a lot of debate over the way men and women interact in certain ways, as we've seen from the Me Too and the Time's Up movement. And so this could be a really interesting exhibit to check out if you're interested.
Absolutely. Judy Chicago, she's still going strong. The dinner party is a must for people who want to see one of the early great contributions to, I don't know what they call it, feminist art? I'm not sure. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting name, but you know.
They label her a feminist artist 'cause it's like, you're a woman
yeah.
artist. It's like, you know.
It's definitely a topic. It'd be an interesting question how many people would want to be identified necessarily as feminist artists, but that's another question. We all have our ideas about labeling, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole other show.
That's a whole other show, exactly.
And another quick event that's a little bit different. If anyone's looking for something interesting to do tonight, and you live in Manhattan or downtown at Irving Plaza, Dave East, the rapper from
Dave East, he's here to save New York rap, right?
He's here to save New York rap. That's what I heard. He's got pretty good stuff. I enjoyed his most recent album. I think he's got skills. Nas definitely backs that up, you know. So he'll be performing tonight. There's still tickets available. If you're interested in going, Irving Plaza is a cool space, you know, about 1,200 or so people capacity. So if you want to go check that out, please do so. Get your tickets quickly because they're going fast.
Yeah, well, Dave East, I noticed that he is one of the people they're trying to champion because he's keeping lyricism in his work, right? And,
Absolutely.
representing New York tradition of hip hop. Okay,
gotta keep it alive.
Yeah, keep it alive. That's true. Next up, let's see. So, Arthur Mitchell. We can go on and on about people we call trailblazers from Harlem, this kind of locus of cultural entrepreneurism that has always been present in this city, in this town, in this neighborhood. Harlem, the voice of Harlem, of course. One of those people we have to include in those ranks, of course, is Arthur Mitchell. Great ballet trailblazer. Well, his story is being ensconced in history of exhibitions, right? So giving a kind of informative overview of the light of the great Arthur Mitchell. It's called Arthur Mitchell, Harlem's Ballet Trailblazer, right? And it's being shown at the Wallach Art Gallery. Of course, that's Columbia University's new, large-size, beautiful art facility, right? And it's taking place. It started on my birthday, January 13th, a little hint there, and it ends on March 11th, okay? It's the first major exhibition to explore the life and career of Arthur Mitchell, the first African-American kind of ballet star at the New York City Ballet, right? He was also the founder of the critically acclaimed Dance Theater of Harlem, DTH, and the exhibition is drawn from the personal archive that he donated to Columbia University's rare book and manuscript library in 2014. It's going to have photographs, drawings, posters, memorabilia, video footage. Only thing it's not going to have, at least on most occasions, even though there should be some special programming going along with this exhibition, but in most cases it may not have his imprimatur, which of course is the dance, but there will be plenty of ways for you to access it. It's a very important story of one of our great trailblazers. Of course, we're talking about Arthur Mitchell. That's Arthur Mitchell, Harlem's Ballet Trailblazer, and it's going to go on until March 11th at the Wallach Art Gallery, Columbia University's new gallery. So make sure you check it out. And we're just getting started here. We're right in the Sliced Fruits, another episode of Sliced Fruit, and we'll be back in a moment. C3Arts Radio.
I come here tonight and plead with you. Believe in yourself and believe that you're somebody. As I said to a group last night, nobody else can do this for us. No document can do this for us. No Lincolnian Emancipation Proclamation can do this for us. No Kennysonian or Johnsonian Civil Rights Bill can do this for us. If the Negro is to be free, he must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own Emancipation Proclamation.
Don't let anybody take your manhood. Be proud of our heritage. As somebody said earlier tonight, we don't have anything to be ashamed of. Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. It's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
C3Arts Radio, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Always back here, right? 90.3 FM, WHCR, of course, the voice of Harlem. And this is C3Arts Radio, the broadcast arm of the City College Center for the Arts. And you know, the party never ends. We're here every Tuesday, 5 to 6 p.m., But you can always check us out as well on Twitter and Instagram. That's at Facebook. At Facebook. Okay. At C3Arts Radio. That's Twitter and Instagram. C3Arts Radio on Facebook. And also, of course, C3ArtsRadio.com. These are places to get the information and continue the party here with us, C3 Arts Radio. Right? So we're right in the middle of sliced fruit. So this is where Winston and I give you our ideas, our thoughts on some of the things that you should check out that's out there in the cultural universe as we speak. And our goal here is to make sure that all of us understand what we can do as arts advocates and support the arts. So we're getting into it. So now my next choice, Winston. So this is where I'm going to go with. Okay.
Okay.
It's called Compagnie Hervé Cubi. This is the one of the for the end of January, beginning of February. This is the group that's going to be doing their residency at the Joyce Theater. Okay, it's going to start from Tuesday, January 30th to Sunday, February 4th. Now, this is one of the up-and-coming dance troupes, right? They're based in France. They're based in Paris. And they take 12, French, Algerian, and African dancers and create this kind of fluid but highly physical dance imagination to it. It kind of moves through capoeira, the martial arts, hip-hop, contemporary dance with powerful imagery, evocative of Orientalist paintings. It's an amazing kind of amalgam of different kind of styles and flavors, and it all comes from a very important kind of look and depiction of thinking about the world in a sense, right? Very kinetic, and then you also have this kind of idea of traveling around the world from Africa through the Western Hemisphere back to Europe. Fantastic idea. Of course, this is Compagnie Hervé Cubi. This is at the Joyce Theater. Please go to joyce.org for more information. It's going to be from Tuesday, January 30th to Sunday, February 4th.
All right. Sounds good.
All
right. I'm going to dive back into some visual arts. Giuliano Villani. He's having art exhibits. The exhibit is called 10-Pound Hand, and it will be taking place between January 11th and February 24th, 2018. The reception is this coming Thursday, if you're interested in going, from 6 to 8 p.m. It is on, the name of the venue is called JTT, downtown, 191 Chrissy Street in New York, if you're in the area. Very, very interesting contemporary art. Some of the stuff really stood out to me when I saw it online, and I was like looking at it and like I thought I was seeing like double because it was so like out there interesting. But when I found it, I was like, this is something I would definitely check out. So if you're into contemporary art and you're looking for something interesting and different to do, check out the 10-Pound Hand exhibits at JTT. You can go to the website for more details. It should be a very, very interesting exhibit to check out.
I see. Okay, sounds good. What else you thinking about there?
I am thinking about the Winter Jazz Fest.
Oh, yeah, that's a hot one.
Yeah, it's coming up.
I did mean that. That was kind of a joke, right? It's a hot one, baby, but it's the Winter Jazz Fest, and they have an incredible program.
Yes, they have an incredible program that's coming up. It's going to be at La Poisson Rouge, which is a great venue. Got an opportunity to go there a few times. Got an opportunity to play there a few times. And yeah, that was fun. So
I can imagine.
I'm always looking for new things to do, so I feel like that would be a great place to go if you've never been, because the vibe is very chill, and I just love the place. I love the space a lot.
Now, who's going to be at La Poisson Rouge?
Now let's see. In the festival, there's going to be quite a few acts.
Yeah.
One of the acts that I can't remember his name, I'm drawing a blank currently at the moment, is someone who I just listened to recently, and I'm really, really interested in checking him out. Actually, in the very near future, I need to go check out more information on that. But all I know is it's happening soon, and tickets are available.
So the Winter Jazz Festival is kind of like a week-long
Yes.
show, right? Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot to see there. Definitely go online and check out who you want to see, because there are all kinds of artists are performing in the Winter Jazz Festival. It is truly snowballing and
Yes,
getting bigger
exactly.
and bigger.
Please excuse me. Yes, there's a couple of artists I just want to shout out real quick. They're going to be performing. Deerhoof, My Brightest Diamond's also going to be there. Jose James is going to be there. Ravi Coltrane is going to be there.
Oh, the great Ravi Coltrane.
Yes, exactly. So there's going to be a lot to check out. Just wanted to say that real quick before you.
Absolutely, fantastic. The Winter Jazz Festival, it's great to see it grow as quickly as fast in the way it is.
Absolutely.
And then kind of on that vibe a little bit, I want to shout out Robert Glasper's Grammy joint. Okay, so this is the 6th year that he's doing this, where he's getting his friends together. They're going to be at the Highline Ballroom. They're going to get together. They're going to jam. They're going to put on a great show. All right, this is going to be Friday, January 26th. All right. Showtime is at 10 o'clock. The doors open at 8 p.m. All right. Now, it's kind of, there's some symmetry there, because this is Robert Glasper's 6th time doing the Grammy joint. And it's just going to coincide with the 60th anniversary. This is the 60th Grammy Awards, so that should be interesting as well. And of course, what ties this all up with the rainbow is that the Grammys have come back to New York City, right? Back where they belong, right?
Exactly.
I can't say I'm the biggest Grammy follower, but it's supposed to be here in New York.
Exactly.
I will say that. Now, you got to get your tickets to the Robert Glasper show, because they're generally sold out. Some of the people who have performed with him over the course of this 6-year existence have been Common, Lettucey, Herbie Hancock, Mos Def, Bilal, Layla Hathaway, Lupe Fiasco, and the list goes on and on and on. So you can expect a great lineup. So make sure you get your tickets. Go to highlineballroom.com. That's HIGHLINE, ball, BALLROOM.com. highlineballroom.com. That's Friday, January 26th. Make sure you get there, ladies and gentlemen. And that is Sliced Fruit for January. I love it. I love that. That's great. That works perfect. That's the slice, ladies and gentlemen. That's the slice. Slice
That's
fruit.
right. 2018, doing it right.
And before we get out of here, too, we want to leave you with a little bit more. We're going to go back to the story we were telling earlier about the last words of Dr. Martin Luther King to a large audience. Happy birthday. It may be delayed by a day, but we want to make sure we get it in. We're all about celebrating not the life, the thought, the approach of one of the greatest men we've ever known, Dr. Martin Luther King. C3Arts Radio. We'll see you next Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life, longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.